The only impossible journey is the one you never begin. Tony Robbins.
Hey everyone, here we are on Unwritten Timeline, and we'd like to take a moment to introduce our family to your family and talk a little bit about what we're going to do in this season. As you know, I'm Lisa, I'm first mate, and this is Captain Dave, and he is holding our dog Sophia, which you have seen in past videos and pictures in the blog, and then this is our cat Bastet. Bastet is an 11-year-old Egyptian Mau, and one of the reasons why you don't see the cat very often, or you've never seen the cat, this is her first appearance, and this is her first time on the boat actually, is because the dog chases the cat. She's a Labrador Retriever. Sophia is a black lab, and retrievers like to retrieve small animals. Hence, Bastet is a small kitty cat. Well, not a small, she's a big cat, but she's a small animal, and Sophia's like, I'm a dog, must chase cat. So we try very hard, have a lot of trials and tribulations, and it's challenging keeping the two separated, but we had the cat first and love her, and got the dog and we love her.
Even at the apartment, we got to keep them separate. I mean, we keep the bedroom door shut, and Bastet usually stays in our bedroom, and then Sophia has run of the house, so it's kind of like that here too.
So our challenge this season, and as we go sailing, how are we going to keep the two separated? Sophia is 13 years old. Like I said, she's a black lab mix, so we don't expect her to be here much longer with us, maybe a few more years if she's lucky before she goes to doggy heaven. But that's going to be our challenge, and we'd love for you to come along with us to see how are we going to make that work.
So if you guys saw our Season 0 introduction, you might have noticed that some things maybe didn't happen the way we planned, because nothing goes according to plan when you sail, even if before you start sailing nothing goes according to plan.
Best laid plans, babe. Best laid plans.
Yeah, we are still working. I'm slated to retire. My retirement date is going to be July 31st, but the way the military works, they allow you to take some of your vacation time at the end. So my last day in uniform will actually be 20 April 2018. So shortly after that, we'll begin. And we are not on our 2002 Hunter 326. That is actually for sale right now, still for sale. And we are not going to be purchasing a Fontaine Peugeot 40 like we originally thought. We chartered one, and you can check out that video here. We liked it, but when it came down to actually pricing it and getting everything done, it was just going to be a little bit too much money, more than we wanted to pay. I'd also like to talk about how we got started with the idea of sailing around the world. I love telling the story, even though it's actually mostly Lisa and Lisa's mom's fault.
Yes, it's our fault. Blame us. Bad little girls.
Lisa's mom came out to see us one time in Washington State, and we took her on a whale watching tour. You can go up there and see orca whales, and they take you around Puget Sound. It's really a great trip. And while we were there, the person that they hired to guide the tour was sailing around the world. Her and her husband were stopping in Washington State for a little while, trying to top up their sailing kitties so that they could continue on around the world. And she just happened to get our group when we were doing the whale watching tour.
She's a marine biologist, and she just had this fantastic story, and we were really completely enthralled with it, asking questions, and she spent a lot of time with Dave, myself, and my mom, just telling us, how they were fixing up the boat, and they were just earning extra money. I want to say it was like a 40-foot wooden boat.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And it was just amazing. And David's just all like, so what do you do for this, and how do you do that? And I was right there along with him, and that really sparked a light in both of us and got our interest.
Yeah, I don't know how much we actually spent talking about the whales, but we were bending her ear almost the entire trip about her.
And that pretty much got us interested in, we came away, left that trip saying, and David's like, I'd like to buy a boat and sail around the world. What do you think about that idea? And it snowballed from there. We started going to sailboat shows, the Seattle Sailboat Show. That was in December of 2006. that my mom came up to Washington for the whale watching trip. And then he deployed in 2007, but we were still looking. We had gone to a boat show. Our story started with sailing around the world on a 26-foot McGregor.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, we could totally do that, and that would be great. And oh, it doesn't flip over, and oh, and it's just the two of us. Then we went to the Seattle Boat Show and walked on one, or should I say, hunched through over on one. And neither one of us could imagine ourselves living on that. Back then, the trip was only 5 years. You know, living on there for 5 years and not being able to stand upright in your living quarters. So that sent us on the hunt for a bigger and better boat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we've gone through a couple iterations of boats.
yes.
But we've always
And
actually had our eye on Antares. There was a time where the plan was to buy a brand new one, but that didn't quite work out because we didn't win the lottery. So,
Yes, they're expensive, well worth the money if you're able to swing it. Even with all our hard work and everything that we've done to save money to buy a boat, we weren't able to swing the over $1 million price tag. Cough, cough. For the boat, even though we love it. But some of the things that we have, speaking of some of the things we've done to save for the boat, we started in 2008 when he got back from deployment. We thought, you know, we should probably, we're looking at boats and talking about saving money. Maybe we should take ASA 101 class and see if we like sailing.
Yeah.
He had never been on a sailboat.
Yeah.
You've been on power boats,
Yeah.
the Betty Blake, and if you're from Ohio, you know the Betty Blake. But we in Washington, Puget Sound, did the ASA 101, and we came away from that class loving it. We're both like, yep, this is it. This is the plan. And it snowballed from there also. So we did the 101, then 103.
There.
And we did take say ASA classes and certifications in San Diego.
Yeah. I
We
think it's where we did
chartered.
105 and 6, 7. I don't know. I forget now.
Yeah, and we did a couple bareboat charters in San Diego also, just to keep up our sailing skills. And then once we moved here to North Carolina, that's when we bought the Hunter 326. And here in North Carolina, we didn't take the class here, but the ASA 114, which you can see that video
Yeah.
up here, down there, over here. I'm not really sure. One of the places. You can watch that video on the ASA 114. You really learn a lot about catamarans and how to sail it, because it is a little different than the monohulls. But those are some of the charters and classes that we've done there.
And with all that stuff too, the chartering and the classes, so we've actually sailed, I don't know, maybe 10, probably about 10 boats, types of boats. And then I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to go offshore sailing with Teddy J. And again, you can see that video up here. I'll put a link to that.
Asante.
Yeah, Asante, that was really good. And I was so glad that Teddy put the word out that he was looking for crew, and I was able to do it. And I was actually
All the stars aligned.
I know.
I mean, just everything fell into place for you for that.
Yeah, because I was actually slated to go on a trip for the military over to Kenya, and then it got canceled about a week before. So I emailed Teddy up and I was like, "Hey man, you still got a seat?" And he said, "Yeah." So I jumped on a plane, bought some tickets, and flew down to St. Thomas, and we took his boat back up to Florida for a nice 6 or 7 day passage. I forget now, but more than a few nights. And that was a really good time. I was definitely glad I did that.
As well as a learning experience, because as with any boat, you're going to have things that you're going to have to work on. Things break down. And the first time I talked to you, you were like, oh, what was it, some filter, or I'm not sure exactly what it was. He had the pump, but it didn't fit, so you kind of had to make it work and do a little MacGyver thing. It was like the first day you were there, and
Yeah, there was a couple things, couple opportunities for learning we had on Teddy's boat.
Yeah.
But that's certainly no different than any other boat,
any
I
other
don't think.
boat, yeah.
Even with our boat right now, it seems like all we do is work on it. It's not stuff that we would have to do to sail away. Like we could take this thing down to Florida right now and be fine with it. But you know, if you're on something every day, you find stuff to work on, and that's exactly what we do.
Great example would be today we came down and we had a plan of, oh, we're going to work on this and get this project done. Oh, wait, let's take a shower before we start that. Oh, the shower doesn't work. Why isn't the water coming out? Do we have water? Yes, we have water.
There's one thing after another, and I haven't quite figured out what went wrong. I just know that the shower faucet is somehow gummed up because I got water coming out of the pipe. It goes into the faucet. It just doesn't come out of the faucet. So I'll figure that out sometime.
To talk a little bit about our current plan and the current boat that we have, Unwritten Timeline, is YOLO, like we've said, and there's also a delivery video on when we actually purchased YOLO and sailed her from Virginia to North Carolina, and which was a great experience for me because that was my first. I didn't get to go on Asante with David. I couldn't get off work, so that was really my first passage rather than a day sail.
2 nights offshore.
Yeah, 2 nights offshore, about 6 miles offshore. So not. I still saw land. I can't wait until I don't see land. That's going to be like, wah! But one day we'll be there.
One day soon.
One day soon. So the current plan is we have YOLO. We're working on her, still working at our day jobs and having to fulfill those commitments until April. We'd like to hopefully sail YOLO away by May.
Yeah.
Start sailing south towards Florida. And then once we get down to Florida in July, the U.S. Coast Guard Captain's Course starts at Chapman's School of Seamanship.
Yeah, Chapman School of Seamanship.
Chapman School of Seamanship. So we're going to both try our hand at getting our captain's license and then sail away from Florida to the Caribbean by January 1, 2019.
Yeah, we think we'll do like New Year's Eve somewhere in Florida, and that'd be like our final send-off. And then hopefully, as long as the weather's good on January 1st, that'd be the date that we take off around the Caribbean. And then from there, I don't know, we'll just keep going west until we come back. And then maybe west again, who knows.
It's around the world, baby, around the world. But we're going to take more than 40 days. We're not going to do it in 40 days, people.
Yeah.
We're going to sail around the world.
Yeah.
10 years. 10 years is the plan right now. Who knows? We may never go back to land.
Yeah, we don't know what we're going to do when we grow up yet. We've talked about, buying a cabin or someplace or staying on the boat or
doing charters once we fulfill our circumnavigation. Maybe start a sailing school and teach people how to sail because we enjoy it so much and had such a good time with it. There's no telling what we're going to end up doing. You got to stay tuned, people. You got to stay tuned and find out what are those crazy kids up to now. Yeah, but so this is our family. Bastet, hiding here from the dog. Bastet, Egyptian Bow, and Sophia, Dave and Lisa. Come journey with us on an Unwritten Timeline. We'd love to take you guys along with us.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to give a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. This season, we're starting a brand new segment, Lisa's Ladle. It's going to be a cooking segment, so you can check out how we cook on a boat. We are also going to do a few interviews with everybody who helped us purchase YOLO, from the broker, the surveyor, the insurance agency, and the financier. So be sure to stick around and watch that this season.